that you don't have a country without borders. If you have borders, you should enforce that border. Democrats have not done as good a job as they should, period. End of discussion. That's correct.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today, I want to take a moment to kind of close this chapter out as it pertains to the marijuana farm that was raided by ICE agents, right? There's a lot of things to cover that was uncovered throughout the weekend, and I just wanted to cover all grounds now concerning that situation because there's a lot of foolishness going on, especially as it pertains to the people who are actually caught, the illegal immigrants who are actually caught working that weed farm, right? That there were also children at as well. Now look at this here. Child predator found among 350 arrested in California cannabis farm ICE raid. Now think about this for a moment. All of the spinning that's been going on concerning the ICE raid at this weed farm, just spinning the narrative like crazy, as if these were just, families working hard, depending on the little bit of money that they got from working at this cannabis farm. And it's now been stripped away from them, and children were running away after being tear gassed, holding their mother's hands and crying and blah, 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 blah. All the small violining that you heard and saw going on. But the truth is that you had child predators working on that weed farm alongside multiple unaccompanied minors who are being exploited at the same time. And this animal wasn't the only one working that farm, but we're going to get there in a moment. Let's hop into this article first before we unpack how bad this situation was and how justified it was for ICE to raid this farm, right? Let's get into this article very quickly. And it reads as such. A child sex predator was among the 361 illegal immigrants who were arrested in raids at 2 marijuana farms in Southern California last week. The feds also rescued 14 migrant children who were working in the fields. Let me make an addendum. 14 illegal immigrant children who were working in the fields, according to the Department of Homeland Security. One of the youngsters was just 14 years old, and the disturbing situation has prompted an investigation into possible child labor law violations. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Rodney Scott said on Thursday. Now get this here concerning the children that were on that farm, right? Assistant DHS Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said the conditions for the children looked like exploitation, forced child labor, and potentially human trafficking or smuggling while facing assault and even gunfire. This is the conditions that those children were under when they found them. But if you let Karen Bass tell it, you let Gavin Newsom tell it, nothing to see here, folks. Everything's just fine. And Trump and Holman is just a racist. Farthest thing from the truth. They're actually saving these children while these individuals that run California, Newsom and Karen Bass, are protecting monsters. But I digress. Let's carry on. She would go on to add, as Secretary Noem stated, this is quickly becoming one of the largest operations since President Trump took office. Now, here's a quick photo here, and obviously the faces are blurred out as they should be from CBP Commissioner Rodney Scott, a photo that was taken with the ICE agents who rescued these children, right? Let's get it right. These ICE agents rescued these children here from off this farm. You see young boys and young girls here. Lord knows what they were dealing with, what they were going through, the kind of exploitation that was going on those farms while they're working alongside with child predators and other monsters in their midst. This is unbelievable that is happening in America. Only in DNC states, ladies and gentlemen, do you see these officials going this hard to protect monsters like this. But let's take a moment to see why they're working so hard to protect monsters. Look at what we have here. Look at this. Newsom donors cannabis farm under federal investigation for child labor violations. 9 unaccompanied children rescued as protesters clashed with authorities at Glass House Farms facilities. Yes, that facility, that weed farm, the drug farm that the children were rescued off of while they were working alongside child predators. That's the same farm that donated thousands of dollars to Gavin Newsom's campaign in 2018. Now let's dive a little deeper into this article for a bit more information. The president of Glass House Farms, the cannabis farm that federal immigration authorities raided in California on Thursday, despite protests, has donated thousands of dollars to Democrats in California. So not just Gavin Newsom, but Democrats all across California. No wonder they've been going so hard for this guy, right? Co-founder, president, and board director Graham Ferrara, who self-identified on social media as residing in Santa Barbara, California, has made numerous political donations to Santa Barbara County Democratic Central Committee's Federal Political Action Committee and Representative Salud Carbajal, Democrat from California, according to Federal Election Commission records. I want to get into this guy, Salud Carbajal, very quickly, because this is a DNC lunatic who actually deliberately tried to get himself arrested, just as we've seen Alex Padilla do, just like we saw the comptroller in New York City do. He attempted to get himself arrested on purpose, just for the sake of theater, political theater, but it didn't work out that way, and ICE agents luckily didn't bite. Take a look at this video here.
This here is new video from Carpinteria, where another federal law enforcement operation was taking place at a Glass House Farm location. Congressman Salud Carbajal was denied entry when he tried to get past federal agents into the farm. In a statement, Carbajal called this completely unacceptable and said that he would be demanding answers from Homeland Security. A large crowd gathered at Foothill and Casitas Pass Road for about 2 hours. 10 people were reportedly.
You see how he came barging in like a fool? He was intentionally trying to get himself arrested. Just watch this again while I'm gonna mute this up and I'll talk at the same time though. Look at how he just charges the ICE agents. They've created a clear barrier for no one to go past because there's an operation, there's a federal operation happening in this moment, right? You don't know what you're going to encounter in this moment. You don't know if gunfire is going to erupt in this moment. So they have a barrier there with ICE agents standing that no one can cross past. That's why you see the protesters on the other side of it. And then you see this guy charging through like a madman. He's not properly identifying himself and trying to have a reasonable conversation with the ICE agents to see what's going on. Look, he flashes his Congress card and then just tries to walk past. Who do you think you are? That's not how that works. That is not how that works. That's like just trying to barge onto a crime scene, right? Or in the middle of a cartel raid that's going on and you see SWAT all over the place, FBI everywhere. And here you are, a dumb congressman saying, I'm a member of Congress and let me through. Are you stupid or are you dumb? You're going to mess around and get yourself hurt like that because you don't even know what's going on right now. But once again, this is just the kind of political theater that these DNC lunatics engage in consistently, right? He tried to get himself arrested, but not to belabor the point too much. I'm highlighting that once again, going back to, let me pull this down off the screen, Glass Farms, I believe it's called, right? You know, going back to them, the co-founder and president, Graham Ferrara, has donated thousands of dollars to this same congressman that's barging through a barrier, which could very well get him hurt because he doesn't know what lies on the other side of that. But he has to make sure that that donation money keeps coming in the next time that he runs for re-election. That's why you see these people going so hard the way that they do, even at the possibility of risking their own life and their own safety. But let's carry on with this article, and then we're going to get into Karen Bass next. According to California Public Campaign Finance records, he also donated $10,000 to California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom in 2018. And his most recent public political donation was to California Democratic Assembly member Greg Hart in July of 2023. So if you're trying to figure out why all these DNC lunatics in California have been going so hard in defending a drug farm that was illegally employing not just illegal immigrants, but child predators alongside with unaccompanied minors. That's why they're going so hard, because he's the guy that's funding these people's campaigns. Are you shocked? I'm not. It's to be expected. It's to be expected. And what's also to be expected is Karen Bass essentially paying illegal immigrants to stay home, right? LA Mayor Bass provides cash payments to illegals, issues order to thwart immigration enforcement. So let's get into this article next. I want to jump into this right now. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass signed an executive order Friday to bolster protocols and support immigrant neighborhoods, including offering cash assistance in response to raids by the Trump administration targeting those living in the United States illegally. In addition, Bass said a plan is being worked out to provide cash assistance for those affected by the enforcement operations. The Los Angeles Times reported cash cards with a couple of $100 on them will be distributed by immigrant rights groups in about a week. Bass said the money will not come from city coffers, but philanthropic partners, she said. Now, in a moment, we're going to get into one of the groups where the money is going to and who this group is that will be distributing these hundreds of dollars in cash cards to illegal immigrants. But before we do that, I want us to take a moment to go back to the farm so that we can understand the people that Karen Bass is essentially paying to stay home. She's paying them to stay home so that they don't get deported. Let's take a look at Karen Bass's constituents and who she's paying.
And we are learning more from the administration about some of the more than 300 immigrants that were arrested at that California cannabis farm last week. One, we're told, had been convicted of kidnapping, attempted rape, and attempted child molestation, and he was actually deported back in 2006. Another convicted of rape and DUI, and the list goes on with other DUI and burglary convictions. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, says illegal immigrants need to self-deport.
I mean, this is the same people that brought you to defund the police and then denied they wanted to defund the police. Now they look at ICE as the bad guy. That's law enforcement. As Senator Fetterman said, it is absolutely farcical to say defund ICE, and that's what you're doing. Among the migrants, they found this an illegal alien from Mexico convicted of kidnapping. Yeah. An illegal alien from Mexico was convicted of rape and DUI. Another one, DUI, hit and run property damage. Another illegal convicted 3 times for burglary and a DUI.
And Brian, the co-founder of this farm, the Glass House Farms, is now under investigation for child labor violation. The co-founder, the president, donated $10,000 to California's Governor Gavin Newsom's 2018 campaign. Kristi Noem said 14 children were rescued from forced labor, exploitation, and trafficking. So, Democrats, don't you care about those kids that were forced to work at a young age on a marijuana farm?
No, they don't care. They don't care at all. As a matter of fact, they're paying them to stay home. Let's listen to what woke Sanctuary City Mayor Karen Bass had to say about that.
We also are going to have a reinstitution of the Angelino card, something that Mayor Garcetti started during COVID, that will actually provide cash assistance to people. Because, you know, you have people who don't want to leave their homes, who are not going to work, and they are in need of cash. We're organizing food deliveries. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we are having to do now to protect people from the federal government.
These people are devils. She claims that she's protecting people from the federal government, while the very people that she's paying to stay home are potentially child predators, violators of women, those who committed aggravated assault, multiple DUIs. You're talking about criminals working alongside unaccompanied minors. So now what I want to do next in closing as we round things out, I want to get into this clip here from California Congressman. I believe his name is Kevin Kiley, if I remember correctly. And let's take a listen to what he has to say concerning this money. That is these cash payments that are going to get paid out to illegal immigrants simply to stay home. Let me pull this video up for you guys next as we round things out.
When I heard this news about the cash payments, I thought this cannot possibly be true. But then on reflection, I thought, of course it's true, because California already provides the most generous benefits for illegal immigrants of any state by far. Newsom has driven Medicaid insolvent by giving out free comprehensive benefits for everyone. And now Bass is giving out these free cash cards. And apparently one of the ways you can get one is if you're too afraid to go into work. Well, number one, this fear, to the extent that it exists, is largely driven by Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, who have purposely incited fear and driven these rioters into a state of frenzy. But number two, if we say that if you're too afraid to go to work, you get free cash payments, I think that all of a sudden we're going to find there are a lot more people who are suddenly too afraid to go into work. But the real kicker in all this is that Karen Bass has chosen, of all groups, Chirla to distribute the cards. Now, remember, this is the group that got $34 million in funding and then played a central role in organizing the riots.
Now, we've talked about Chirla before. We talked about them last week in a video that I created concerning, these DNC lunatics that are engaging in battle against the ICE agents, right? And there was a group of individuals, I think it was maybe 3 or 4, who were arrested for essentially making these homemade makeshift spike strips that they were placing underneath ICE vehicles, popping the tires. They were arrested, and upon being arrested, found alongside these spike strips that they made, which was essentially, they were sticks with nails hammered through them on each side, was a Chirla duffel bag or tote bag, you can call it, one of those little kind of zip line bags in the vehicle alongside the spike strips, right? So that already speaks volumes, because at that point, it feels as if, in my opinion, I assume it feels as if, this organization might be sponsoring some sort of, domestic terrorism. You can start to look at it like this, right? Because you're talking about people that are actively organizing ambush attacks on ICE agents, and they're carrying their supplies in your little tote bags. Interesting. That's something that should be looked into. But aside from that, let's take a look at this also, right? Look at this here. As stated, and as I explained in the previous video and what was discussed and talked about just now, taxpayer-funded Chaos California's $34 million gift to ICE riot mob. Chirla, the Coalition for Human Immigrant Rights, that's leading LA's anti-ICE chaos, pulled in $34 million in taxpayer cash in the fiscal year ending in June 2023, a nearly 3x jump from the year before. So the Biden administration was giving this group millions in taxpayer dollar hand over fist. They are paying these folks off. You can see here on the Act Blue website, outside of tax dollars, if you just want to contribute to them, you can do that. This is a DNC donation website, Act Blue. You can see Chirla here. The caption reads here from Natalie, anti-ICE rioters in Los Angeles are being organized by the Coalition for Human Immigration Rights for Los Angeles, right? You scroll over here, you can see that she has from the LA Times this snippet, and I quote, "Our community is under attack and has been terrorized." Angelica Salas, executive director of the Coalition for Human Immigration Rights, or Chirla, told the crowd of protesters, "These are workers, these are fathers, these are mothers." So these guys played a prominent role. This organization played a prominent role in being out there during these LA riots that were going on, these anti-ICE riots, right? And they also play a prominent role in getting these DNC lunatic officials elected. As you can see here also from Natalie, the group behind the Los Angeles ICE riots endorsed Adam Schiff's Senate campaign. He even spoke alongside the far-left Open Borders advocacy group Chirla during his 2024 campaign. And you can see this right here. Let me remove myself off the screen just to blow this up a little bit bigger. I mean, you see Adam Schiff He's with this same group, this same organization, right? That's been given tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer funds, right? So when you, once again, you're sitting here wondering and trying to figure out what in the world is going on, why these DNC lunatics supporting these people to the degree that they are, this is why. They're the ones that fund them. So therefore, of course, they're going to go this hard to protect those who are employing child laborers alongside with child predators, allegedly. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on social media platforms. And also do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.